And welcome into Elevation Radio Sports Line Style. This is Wheelhouse. It's being hard to find on a Sunday morning, Matt. As we are here with you, as always, on Labor Day weekend, Matt. It is already September. The mornings are getting a bit more crisp, and then it turns to 98-degree weather in the afternoon. Not for long. Matt, how are we this morning?
Oh, I'm doing good. Yeah, that you hit that right there. It's crispy in the mornings. I like yesterday I got out right when the sun was coming up to go hit golf balls at a driving range, and it was I had sweater on, still had shorts on, but it was cold. And then my kids were running around the sprinklers later in the day. So yeah, this is one of those times of year where you wish it would make up its mind and not be cold and really hot at the same time.
Yeah, so we got a lot to get into this morning, Matt. Obviously, the big, huge college football game, I should say, that happened yesterday. And we're going to keep it a bit local this morning. Usually we go around everywhere and touch on about everything. We will dive into some other big college football games and scores that happened yesterday. Almost, at least locally, almost every Front Range team won. Of course, not CSU. But, they did give up 50 points to Washington State, and they only scored 24. So that was not good. Air Force took care of Robert Morris, 42-7, and of course the big one that we'll get into here in just a minute. Colorado Buffaloes take care of TCU, 17th ranked TCU, who went pretty far last year, Matt. They take care of them 45-42, and that second half, more towards the fourth quarter, was just absolutely insane. And we'll get into that in just a minute. Wanted to get this out of the way, Matt. I'm kind of changing my tune on your boy, Aaron Rodgers, solely because of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Funny. He doesn't seem, maybe he's different around his teammates, but he doesn't seem at all like the douchey a-hole that you kind of get in post-game whatever interviews. But seems like a fun guy to be around there. I don't know if you've seen Hard Knocks yet this year, but he's funny.
It's crazy that you say that, because I mean, I'm a Packer fan. that. We don't need to go all over all my history again, but that's the same dude that we've been watching. That's the same dude that I fell in love with. That's the same guy. And it's funny. It's really funny that the past, whatever 4 or 5 seasons that we've had in Green Bay and even the media, like I noticed on ESPN, he went from being the hated anti-vaxxer, or however you want to look at it, person, and then all of a sudden he's being loved and stuff again. It's like that this is the same dude that we've known and loved in Green Bay, and we've came to love in Green Bay for so long. It's the same guy. He does the same stuff, the cutesy stuff with the belt after he scores a touchdown, the cosplaying when he shows up to practice. It's the same dude. And I'm glad that you get some people that really weren't involved with Green Bay or watching, paying attention to what Green Bay was going on, get to see that now. And he's not the old fuddy-duddy, the old Eeyore, kind of situation that he was portrayed to be there for the past couple of years before he was traded to the Jets. Yeah, he might have been grumpy and upset with Gutekunst and the upper management there in Green Bay, and had an issue there that could have, looked a little sour on the outside. But that's the same dude that Packer fans love, and I mean, in the Chicago Bears fans and Detroit Lions fans, and so on and so on. Those guys hate because of the attitude and stuff that he had. So yeah, I'm glad you're coming around. I'm glad you're seeing it, and it's still a little tough for me, seeing the Hard Knock stuff, seeing him do this, seeing him do all that, it's like, oh man, I remember when he did that with me. I remember. It's just like an ex-girlfriend. It's just like seeing an ex. It's like, I remember we used to go for walks, and he used to say that to me. You used to do that to me. It's the same thing. So I'm glad you're seeing it. But that's number 12. Well, he's number 8 now, but that's the same dude that we've had in Green Bay for the longest time.
Yeah, obviously didn't care about him in Green Bay. So don't really care about the Jets either. But now that they are on Hard Knocks, yeah, kind of fun to watch. So that was awesome. So, and I don't know if you saw the the preview clip of him and the Giants linebacker. I forget the Giants. See,
Yeah.
nobody knows who that dude is. I don't even
Right.
know his name. I remember he's number 55. Kind of pushed Rodgers late after he threw the ball, and they kind of got into it. And so go watch that clip or go watch Hard Knocks, which one you wanted to gather in that information. But yeah, I mean, him and Nathaniel Hackett's relationship, it's like they were never apart for a year when Hackett came here and totally destroyed the Broncos, and then A-Rod was still in Green Bay last year. So yeah, and now they're come together. They have their gold days because of Austin Powers Gold member. It's funny. Go watch it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny, but if you're you're Broncos fan, Broncos country, you're looking at that. I don't know how because Hackett was brought here to bring Aaron. It didn't happen. So you could see it though. You could see why they that relationship, why the Broncos had that idea and try to get it here. But Hackett's a goofball, isn't he? Isn't he just like it looks like Aaron Rodgers is running that offense while Hackett is making the lighthearted comments and keeping him happy. Because that's what it breaks down to is that Aaron Rodgers is so it just loves Hackett so much, and it keeps Rodgers in that happy place, in that happy mindset.
And,
That's
and
what
it's funny too that Randall Cobb is now with the Jets also, and he blindside blocked a dude,
was
kind of make a
hilarious.
block, and Aaron Rodgers is like, man, what are you doing, man? You just lost your entire training camp money. All your preseason money is gone. You're gonna get fined for that.
Yeah, what do you say? It's not 2015 or something like that.
So you can't do that. And Randall Cobb's reply was, man, I haven't been able to hit anybody in a while. So that was funny. And then it showed his wife in the stands. The last time he got fined was like 19 grand or something like that, she said.
Yeah.
So he may get fined for, who knows, in a preseason game. I don't know what they do. But yeah, if you haven't watched Hard Knocks, sorry for some of the spoilers, but go ahead and get all that goodness in you. So that I wanted to get that out of the way, Matt. So I apologize for any bad things I've ever said about Aaron Rodgers. Personally, football, yeah, I still hate him because he's still the Bears' daddy. But yeah, anything else is okay by me. If he wants to come to Denver and go to the Peyote Festival and live in a mud tent for 2 weeks and in get all the shrooms he wants and all the hallucinogenics, that's all right. You're welcome here now.
Come on over. Come on.
So week 5 will be interesting as the Jets will be in Denver, and the whole Hackett Sean Payton thing will be, maybe it's blown over now because some other things have happened in between. It was funny though, they do play a pylon game. I don't know if you saw that, where they throw footballs to the opposite pylon to try to hit it. And they do that, while the defense is practicing or something, so the quarterbacks will throw. And then you try to say something to distract the other person. So while Nathaniel Hackett was throwing a ball to the opposite pylon, Aaron Rodgers goes, Sean Payton. And it totally disrupted Nathaniel Hackett's throw. So that was pretty funny too.
Yeah. It's a funny dude, and he's having fun right now. Aaron Rodgers is having fun again.
He should, because he's now in the twilight of his career and still throwing bullets, by the way, if you hadn't noticed.
Oh, yeah.
So
he's still got a gun.
He might play. I don't know how long he'll play, but I'm going to put the over-under at 41 and a half. I'm going to say 42. I'm going to go over.
Yeah. Yeah,
he's 38.
Yeah, he's 38, and yeah, he's probably I don't see him slowing down, man. Right, like anytime soon. But you never know, because Brady it felt like Brady all of a sudden hit a wall. You seen Manning all of a sudden, but Manning had neck issues and stuff like that.
Well, and the difference is Aaron Rodgers is single, no kids. Like he
Right.
doesn't have to worry about. Tom Brady was going through a divorce, and it was a messy for him. And I'm sure that kind of got in his head. I think it did.
I'm sure it
his,
did. Yeah.
His kids are now, split custody and all that. I'm sure that's hard for him. Whether you're a machine football player or robot, you're still going to have those thoughts at home. Like,
right.
That sucks. And
if you don't have, right. And if you don't have that support from the people that you love at home to do something you want, it's hard. It's really tough to keep doing it at a high level.
Right. So I did want to get that out of the way. So again, personally, Aaron Rodgers is cool now. Professionally, still hate him. I think that's fair.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair.
I just wanted to get that out of the way. And I know you would appreciate my now personal love for Aaron. He'd be a fun guy to hang around.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Because you'd be able to rip off one-liners from various movies. Obviously, The Office. He loves The Office. You'd have a blast.
He was wearing the Office shirt in one of the meeting rooms.
Yeah. You'd have a blast with that dude.
Yeah, and now we both know Brian Baumgartner by
right. You guys are basically
talked football.
Yeah. You guys could plan like a trios luncheon, maybe a brunch. Maybe you guys can get brunch together.
See, and well, you and Brian would get along too because you both like golf. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers plays golf.
Oh, he does play golf.
Does he golf? Okay,
he's a big golfer. Yes,
it's weird because in Hard Knocks he never mentioned it or talked about it, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah. He was. Do you remember? They were doing those. I can't remember what the heck they were called. The challenge. I think that's what they're. Because I think he was on team.
Oh, teamed up when Steph Curry goes out and plays.
Yeah. He teamed up with some. I can't remember. Was it Phil or was it? Because it was him and Brady.
Yeah, now I remember.
They were on a team. Maybe he was on Bryson's team, or maybe he was on Phil's team. I don't know. I got to look back on it, but yeah, he did a big thing. He's a tremendous golfer, really good golfer. I'm better than him, but he's pretty.
I'm sure he's good at probably everything he tries. So
yeah, he's pretty good.
All right, one more thing I wanted to touch on with Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, I mean, I would just love to hang out with him. That's where I would. He might be on my top 5 athletes to hang out with now.
Yeah, he would be a cool hang for sure. Sure.
Yeah. So,
and see, I came around with Brady the past like handful of years because I was the same. I was kind of like I couldn't stand Brady for the longest time. I respected his game, but couldn't stand him. And I come around. I'd love to hang out with Brady. So yeah, I know how you feel.
Yeah, and one of the funnier episodes was when Liv Shriver, the voice of Hard Knocks, landed in his helicopter. And Aaron Rodgers is telling everyone, hey, go say hi to him. Go say hi to him. Hey, go say hi. Don't be scared. And they kind of showed Liv Shriver just kind of standing by himself. Everyone was kind of, I don't know if they were starstruck or awestruck or whatever, but nobody was really talking to him. And, the younger players didn't know who it was anyway.
Right.
And he said, hey, go talk to him. And then Nathaniel Hackett said, is that Liv over there? He goes, yeah, go talk to him. Stop being a P word. Go talk to him.
Yeah.
And obviously Hard Knocks is uncensored, so watch with your kids discreetly, or what is the word?
Parental advisory, or what is it?
Advisory. Explicit content.
Explicit content. Yeah.
Explicit content, definitely.
And isn't it like he's like a dude, like because when he showed up to that, or he went up to that his buddy from Carolina, the old D-line coach.
Yeah, that was funny too.
And that's like
you got fatter or something like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, hey, what's up, buddy? He called him like a fat piece of poop, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's how when I like my buddies, that's how I talk to my buddies. I'm sure there's some kind of like that with your buddies when you see them, you haven't seen them forever. It's not like, hey, how's it going, buddy? Big hug. It's like, hey, you dump truck, hey, you piece of poop. It's like that. So you could tell that he's Aaron Rodgers is definitely vibing out in the Hard Knocks thing, and it's very curious to see because he didn't want anything to do with it. It didn't sound like that he wanted anything to do with the Hard Knocks, but it looks like he's reveling in it. He's all in about it now.
Yeah, and the one thing and we'll move on from it. Can do probably a whole show on Hard Knocks. The not showing the cuts and stuff like that. I know they kind of got rid of. It's it was hard on people again. Just the just the culture we're in nowadays, Matt. I'm surprised. Remember, we said we were surprised we didn't get canceled last week, and
Yeah.
so I guess the offensive nature that we live in, the offensive, and I mean offensive as in people get offended easily nowadays, but not showing the cuts. They showed this one dude, the rookie wide receiver who did the Eminem rap and actually got like posted on Eminem's Instagram for rapping like B Rabbit from 8 Mile during the little rookie symposium showcase that they do, and they did show him kind of sad and leaving the building as he got cut literally hours after their final preseason game. So
right,
that was that's what I want. I mean,
that was the best part of it. Seeing,
I mean, I get why they don't want to show it, I guess, but this is what we got into last week, Matt. Like, just suspending and pausing these games for people getting hurt, and essentially, people's hurt feelings is what we're trying to avoid. But I mean, isn't that the nature? Again, I'm not going to get into the whole injury and hits thing in the NFL, but that's the nature of the beast. Getting cut is the nature of the beast, and they shouldn't be afraid to show it. But they don't. But they actually, I'm honest. I was actually shocked to hear that they showed that part when I was watching it.
Yeah, it's the it's the wussification of overall
and I would go so far
society.
to say as the P. Put a P in front of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
I would say it that way.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, that's what it is. It's because people can't be told. They can't see. It's crazy because people can't be told the truth. Like, hey, you're not good enough to be here. Thank you for your effort, but you're not good enough to be here. And they also can't watch somebody else be told that. They get upset or triggered. So yeah, it's definitely the what you said, and yeah, it is something that I did not like about Hard Knocks, and it was something where I'm not gonna say I wasn't gonna watch it, but it's something that kind of turned me off to watching it this season for sure.
But I will say they did a good job of navigating around it and filled that time, I guess, with other stuff. So, and it's been a good. I don't know how many episodes is it. Is this going to be over since there's only 3 preseason games?
I'm pretty sure it's pretty much done, and then they go to the mid-season one, right?
Yeah, I'll be fascinated to see who's the in-season team that they do.
Right.
Because last year was
the
was
Cardinals, wasn't it?
Cardinals
or the was it the Eagles? Was it or the
Eagles?
Colts?
No, the Colts were I think the season before.
Yeah.
I don't remember who was the preseason last year. Was it maybe the Colts were the training camp and no, because I remember the Colts being the in season. I don't know. I remember the Cardinals were last year though.
The Cardinals were last
the training camp last year.
I don't want to jump way off topic, but I would love to get like a revisit to the Cardinals. Because do you see that Michael Scott coach that they got over there, Gannon? That dude is there's something going. That dude is wild over there, man. What they got going on with the Cardinals is crazy. I'd love to see a peek at that again.
Because now Kyler Murray is on the PUP list. He's not going to play for at least the first 4 weeks. They waived Colt McCoy, so they don't even have that guy anymore.
Nope.
So I don't know who they're. I think Kurt Warner's back.
Kurt, they called up some guy from those bagging groceries to go in. They're gonna have another story. But that quarter, so they got Dobbs. They traded for Dobbs, I believe, and then I want to say it was Josh Dobbs is who they got. I feel like that's who they traded for. I thought I saw that. But that quarterback that they had there, would look like he was going to be the starter. It's crazy what they got going on there. I don't know. You talk about fantasy football wise, like I'm sure, and we'll get into more of that later, but it's what they got going on in Arizona is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see what they do out there. So just wanted to get all the Hard Knocks newfound glory for Aaron Rodgers out of the way. So we got that done. So I'm glad to change my tune just a little bit on A-Rod. And thank you, Hard Knocks, for giving us a peek behind the curtain that not a lot of us cared about while he was in Green Bay, but now he's out of the Bears division, and into a division I could care less about. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to kind of root for them. So we will see what happens with the New York Jets. All right, Matt, let's get into the meat of our episode. By the way, go to all the social media platforms, like us on Facebook, Elevation 5280 Sports and Lifestyle, and make sure you go over to Instagram Instagram 2E5280 Sports on the old gram there. Follow us on Twitter X. Is that what we're dubbing it? At 5280 Sports Radio. I think it's officially not Twitter anymore, by the way.
It's
You can,
X. Yeah, it's
yeah,
all X, I
you can
believe.
follow Matt at Matt Mascarenas1. Follow me at Michael Spillin. Please subscribe and like or whatever you want to do on YouTube as well. Same handle at 5280 Sports Radio. You can also comment here or shoot us a text 720-375-2341. As we mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to kind of keep it local here, Matt, as we do reside in Colorado. The big CU win yesterday, 21-point underdog, take care of TCU, the old Horned Frogs, 45-42. As I mentioned, that at least the fourth quarter, mid to late third quarter got really, really crazy, just back and forth, and CU was able to pull that win out of their hat, again being a 21-point underdog. I subsequently went onto FanDuel and placed a $10 bet for CU to win the national championship. Hey, their odds were at a plus 3,000, Matt. So if I win, it's a $3,000 payout. So not too bad for a $10 bet. But
Not at all.
What was your overall reaction to this game? Were you excited? Were you jumping up and down? We obviously both went and ordered hoodies right after the game. So
Yep.
What was your overall joy? Were you saying, man, CU is back? I know it's only one game, but it was a huge game.
It was huge. It was huge for CU. It was huge for the state. It was huge for everything that has been, because like that's what I felt was okay. All the hoopla, all the pomp and circumstance, everything was leading up to this. Can they do it on the field? Prime can do it at the podium. He could do it at practice. He could get everybody fired up. He could get all these guys in here, all these transfers, like he's got his own luggage. We coming. All that stuff was awesome and great, but does it translate to the football field? And we finally got to see it translate to the football field. That looked like a legit college football team. That looked like one of the best football players, two of the best football players, maybe even three of the best football players in the country that you saw yesterday on that football field on the CU side. And it's everything that Dion Sanders told us. It's everything that Coach Prime told us was what we were going to see. We saw it yesterday. Now, of course, are there issues to special teams? We talked about it on with message. I think that's still an issue. The majority of the mistakes that they made was on special teams. The defense, I don't know if you can throw so much. Like I don't want to throw a lot on the defense because I still feel I may be in the minority. I don't know, but I still feel like TCU is a good football team. They were preseason ranked 17. They were in the national championship game last year. Whether or not you want to say that they should have been there, blah blah blah. All their players are gone, blah blah blah. They were ranked too high in the preseason. All that stuff you can put that out there. They yesterday when CU took that field, the TCU Horned Frogs were ranked 17. It was at home. They had a home game against Colorado in a place where it was hot. Everything, there was all these issues that were against Colorado, and all they did was go in there and proved that they're here, they belong, they're a legit football team, and CU is back. So I needed to see that. Like as far as I'm not going to say I believed in everything because you still got to see it on the field. I'm not there. I'm not, because Prime was going off at the. I don't know if you watched the press conference, but he was going off. He's got receipts. You saw that. So I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it on the football field, and my goodness, Shedeur Sanders looks like he's the real deal. Travis Hunter looks like he's the real freaking deal. So I'm excited. I'm excited, and I can't wait till we play. I just can't wait till next week. But I'm super excited. It's got the whole, everybody's buzzing. I mean, I had I was talking to people that could care less about football, big time Bronco fans. But ever since the Broncos started doing what they were doing, could care less. They were texting me. They were having conversation. What do you think about there? I had people coming out of the woodwork that were watching this game yesterday. So it's good. It's good for college football here in Colorado and good for sports in general.
Yeah, and obviously primetime Dion Sanders was getting a lot of criticism for basically just redoing the entire roster. There was only one defensive starter that came back from last season, man. Turns out he had an interception in the end zone.
He got the pick, big play
yesterday. But yeah, you touched on Shedeur Sanders, 38 for 47, 510 yards, which set a school record, 4 touchdowns, no picks, and he just looked absolutely outstanding. And I don't know if there's a lot of pressure on him being Dion's kid, but it sure did not seem like it. And the running game was probably obviously not too much in the spotlight. Wilkerson had 45 yards. Dylan Edwards had 24 yards running, but also Dylan Edwards led the team in receiving. He had 5 catches for 135 yards and 3 touchdowns. You mentioned Travis Hunter, who played over 100 snaps in this game, playing cornerback and wide receiver. Those are not 2 easy positions to play while you're playing both sides of the football. Travis Hunter had 11 catches for 119 yards. He also had an interception on defense, and that one was just plucked out the dude's hand. And so he just had a marvelous game. And Dion's other kid, Shiloh, had 10 tackles on defense as well. So all of the Sanders guys showed up, including the head coach. And the defense started out strong, Matt. I want to say the defense started out strong. You mentioned the special teams. I don't know if TCU was just finally keyed into their offense that got them pretty far last year, but then the back and forth was just. I know the defensive coordinators are probably pissed off giving up 45 plus points on both sides, but your offense should be at least a little bit happy. And I don't know, man. I get it's only one game. Next week's going to be fun up in Boulder. This time with longtime rival Nebraska coming to town. You have Matt Rule coming to town, who he was one of the dudes who criticized Dion and the whole transfer portal and said, if you don't want to be here, you can leave. There's the door. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. So it's going to be and our homie Joel Klatt's going to be right here next week for Fox as CU hosts the Nebraska Cornhuskers. By the way, did you see that whole volleyball thing where they played at the football stadium? Is that the only time Nebraska is going to sell out the football stadium this year?
It might be if they keep playing because they didn't have a good showing out against Minnesota when they played on Friday night. It was Friday night they played. They look like crap. Like the Corn did not look good. And I don't know. Can you say Minnesota's better than them? Or better than TCU? But yeah, that volleyball, that was a good indication that, and it was funny after Nebraska lost, it was people were saying that I guess Nebraska that volleyball school lost a football game, so it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, there's a lot left to be desired for me when it comes to CU because we got Nebraska coming, and that's the only reason why, because I want to see them beat Nebraska. The biggest things I wanted to see from CU is how they played in that first game, and then I want them to beat Nebraska. So they played tremendous in that first game. The defense will get lined up. It's college football. If anybody's watched college football games, when you get into these games, there's back and forth games. Because like I said, TCU has players over there. You had Bailey that rushed for 164 yards. That dude was a 5-star transfer from Alabama. They got some dogs over there on that team. So that defense for the Buffaloes, all they needed to do was get one stop. And what did they do? They got one stop when they needed to, and they won the football game. The special teams, like we said, is an issue. I think is an issue. They need to dial that in because they're going to lose some games if they keep coming and kicking kickoffs out of bounds after a big drive on a touchdown, turnovers, letting a big return after a touchdown, almost all the way down, almost get a touchdown on a return after a touchdown. So those issues you got to clean up big time. But I think they're going to be just fine because I just don't know how we can just keep saying, because you can't, how you keep saying that TCU's not that good. TCU's not that good. Well, they looked like they were pretty good, preseason ranked number 17, and you had CU that was a 21-point underdog. 21 points they were giving CTC or the Buffaloes. So it was crazy how all that came together, and then CU got the win. But yeah, I'm excited for next week. And it's I wish we could go back in time and play the Nebraska game after Thanksgiving, because that's where it should be. But I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see it next week and to see what we got going forward. But there's a lot still left out there on that table. There's a lot still after the bone. And you heard Travis Hunter too. He even said after the game, we're excited, we're happy, but this game's done. This game's over. We got to get ready for next week.
Right. And I wonder, and you heard Dion say, he's going to get the hot tub on the plane. So yeah, hopefully he gets his rest. He looked tired, but he did not play tired. I will say that.
So, no, he did not. And he was after the game. He was dancing. He was jamming. Did you see him? Like he was going. He did not look like a dude that played over 100 freaking snaps on both sides of the ball and was impactful.
Not even breathing hard. None of that.
No.
So there you go. So Travis Hunter definitely up there for player of the game, along with Shedeur Sanders, who threw for 510 yards. Absolutely outstanding. So good for CU. Some other games around college football. Number 13 Notre Dame takes care of Navy 42-3. USC, who their spotlight now is on their quarterback heading into next year's draft, they take care of San Jose State 56-28, and they were pre-ranked at number 6. Number 14 Utah beat Florida 24-11. Some other ranked teams, Michigan without Harbaugh on the sidelines, and he was actually, that's a funny story because he's actually being now suspended for what he did during the COVID season.
Yeah.
And kind of, the whole tampering and recruitment issues and stuff like that. They take care of East Carolina 30-3. Number 12 Tennessee dominates Virginia 49-13. And here's the big one, Matt. This one, I looked at this score and I was like, holy smokes, you said you should have took the over on this game. And Oklahoma, number 20, absolutely shuts out, dominates, whatever you want to say. 73-0, Matt. 73-0 was the final score in that one.
You had the Arkansas State coach was in tears on the sidelines too. I saw that. That's just tough. That's just tough.
Is there a certain point where you just like, I know you just can't stop playing if you're the team that's up by that much, because we mentioned it all the time, like in professional all-star games, you don't have to play defense in the NHL or NBA all-star games, but in baseball, you kind of have to play defense. If the ball's hit to you, you're not going to do this old lady stuff. So, I mean, what do you do? I mean, how do you show sportsmanship without running up the score? Can you? Or do you just kneel it? I guess you can kneel it every down.
There's they've been through this. I've seen it so many times because I don't know if you mentioned too, Oregon scored 81 against Portland State. And it's like I'm looking through here. There's so many, 73, 81,
yeah,
60.
Ole Miss put up 73.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. And in my opinion, how you don't do this, you don't schedule these opponents. You don't schedule these teams anymore.
These are these tune-up games, right? These are
just don't.
The season. This is where
the preseason. They're the college preseason games.
Yeah, this is where CSU and CU are normally at. They're
right.
Normally the tune-up games. I'm sure TCU looked at CU as a tune-up game, even with all the media circus that CU is going to bring because of Dion.
And I'm looking at it like if I'm Arkansas State, do I ever go and I don't care how much money I get, because I understand there's money involved in these. You go here, you play whatever. Is it worth it to go and get my ass kicked by 73 points and not even score? What does that do to my team? What does that do for my kids? What does it do to go get 81 dumped on you? Like, how does that make my kids better? How does that make my team better? So in my opinion, you stop scheduling these freaking teams. If you're Arkansas State, if you're Portland State, don't schedule these games. Just stay away from those teams. And I get it. If you're on the other side, you got to get the warm up, tune up, but still at the same time, it's like they're still kids. They're still college kids. You don't hear the uproar, the outcry. If this was a high school game, you would have had a running clock by second quarter. Probably the game would have been over in an hour.
Should they implement a mercy rule?
If they're gonna do this, I mean, if you have an FCS coming over to play a CFB, maybe you should do that. Maybe there is something to that, because I don't see anybody getting anything out of this. But at the same time, Mike, you can look at it and say, just like what was that team that beat Baylor? That upset Baylor. I'm trying to find it right now. I don't think Baylor's a top 20 team. They let me try to find it here. It was a team that was in the same situation as as Colorado as CU was in a sense, because they revamped, brand new coach, revamped the whole team, and they upset Baylor yesterday. I'm trying to find the score right here. Texas State 42-31, they beat Baylor. In that situation, this is like the outlier of the whole deal that we had yesterday is this. But how many times is that going to happen? I know you can go to Appalachian State when they upset Michigan, like you're looking for those, but those are outliers, man.
Well, remember a couple years ago, CSU was paid. It was paid a couple million. I forgot who was it. Michigan they went to go play.
It was Florida, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Or was it Michigan? No, it was Michigan, but
yeah,
it was something. Right, and I know that they do that because it gets money for the program. I get all that, and remember when McElwain was the coach for CSU, and then he went. It was like in the deal when he went to Florida that they would go and play Florida, or they would get the money. Blah blah blah. I understand that aspect of it, but and again, it's like, does this do good for the kids? Even though we got all this money to get the kids get their heads beat in, they not even have a chance. But you have the outlier there with Texas State beating Baylor, so it's it's a weird deal. It's really a weird deal. But when you look at these scores, 73, 81, 62 to it's crazy, because how do you get your kids up for the next week if you're going, hey, we gave up this much and we got to go. It's just crazy. It's crazy college football, NCAA bullcrap that how they always do that. You get money, come here to get your ass kicked. We'll give you all this money, blah, blah, blah. I get it, but it's crazy at the same time, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Oregon demolished Portland State 81-7. Number 11, Texas took care of Rice 37-10.
And Texas plays Rice a lot, so I mean that's kind of a deal where it's you're not going to give that up.
And speaking of Texas, I know it's already a day late, but go check out Aaron Preble's recent article on Texas to see if they can get back to that glory that they once were in. And how about this, Matt? If you're CU, you were the only team so far to knock off a top 25 team. TCU was the only top 25 team that lost so far this open college football weekend. Today we have number 18 Oregon State. They will play San Jose State. Is that a split squad, by the way? Are they doing split squads? Because USC also played San Jose State. Is that what they're doing?
I thought USC played
or did USC played Nevada?
They played Nevada.
Okay.
They played Nevada.
So they beat Nevada. That's weird. They have USC beat San Jose State on this too. That's weird. But also LSU number 5 is playing Florida State number 8. So one of those two teams have to lose.
That'll be a good game. Yeah, that'll be a good game at least.
So one of those two teams have to lose because they're both ranked. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I mean, it was a good day of college football, Matt. I know you were excited for it, and we got to see at least the CU Buffs take down TCU again, the only top 25 team this weekend so far to go down.
Right. Yep. And I'm excited for the game today, the LSU Florida State game. At least we're going to get a good competitive game, because that's what you run into the beginning weeks of college football, is you get a lot of these tune-up warm-up games where they're not good unless you get an upset like you did with the Texas State and Baylor. But for the most part, like I was watching Boise State and Washington yesterday, trying to see, if Boise State's a Pac-12 contender to come in, be in the Pac-12, but outside of the first quarter, maybe it just you could tell they don't belong there. But still, I'm glad football's back, to say the least, Mike. Glad football's back.
So there you go. Again, the two other games going on today, we will have as as we mentioned, Oregon State, San Jose State, and LSU, Florida State. So we will be watching those. All right, Matt, let's get into this. As we mentioned at the top also, we're going to keep it kind of local. And where does this rank? Shuffle the deck on Colorado teams, because now we have CU, Dion, the whole. I don't know if circus is the right word, but it is going to bring a media circus wherever CU goes now, and so we will obviously keep an eye on that. But where does this kind of shuffle the deck? Who's number one? Do the Buffs now rank above the Broncos? I mean, where does this put the Nuggets, the Avalanche, who have recently won championships? I think for right now, Matt, because they are the reigning champions in Colorado, you put the Nuggets number one, right? Is that
yeah, 100%. The Nuggets are number one, and I'm like we've talked about last week, and we've talked about on our side conversations. We can't wait for basketball. Like, we're so excited. We can't wait for basketball. We for October to get here. So yeah, the Nuggets are number one for sure.
Obviously, 2 years ago, the Colorado Avalanche won their third championship. They won the 2022 Stanley Cup. Are they number two in these rankings? Because obviously, they go and make the playoffs this year. They have the whole weird Nichushkin thing, and they lose to Seattle in 7 games. But they're still kind of recent, right before the Nuggets to win a championship. Do they fall at number two?
This is where, for me, right there, I look at, because we're talking about right now where we are, and I would say yes, they're number two, but CU could be right there as well because of everything that's going on. You could put CU there. Now, I know people are like, oh, professional teams, you can't put a college team over professional, blah blah blah. I just think
all of them. We're putting all of them on this
list. I know. I'm right there with you. I agree. I think that it's hard to look at the Avs and CU, especially what happened, because we really don't know. We really don't know what's going on with the Avs. We really don't know what happened, and we really don't know what's going to go forward with them. So I would say I would put CU at number two right now. Right now, I put the Colorado Buffaloes at number two over the Avs, and the Avs at number three.
See, that's where I'm going to have to differ from you just a little bit. I think CU is a close second or a close third, I will say. I'll put – yeah, I think it's kind of because we're obviously right now we haven't even touched on the 2 other professional teams that are in Colorado, but for good reasons anyway. So, yeah, I get it. It's only 1 game. It was a big game. After going 1-11 last year, you take care of a ranked team. You were 21-point underdogs. Not only that, Matt, we didn't even touch on this. They were on the road, by the way, in Texas. So
on the road in a hostile, hot, yeah, oh yeah, with excuse me, with how many new players? Like the whole new there's 1 player left over from last year who made a play yesterday, like we talked about. It's a brand new turnover, brand new coaching staff. This is what they're doing. What CU is doing is they're doing better. What Coach Prime and CU is doing, they're doing it better than the Broncos, because the Broncos are essentially doing the same thing. 2 years in a row, the Broncos are doing the same thing, and the CU is going to do it better. We haven't seen the Broncos play football yet, but they got it's comparable because they're almost doing the same thing, because they're bringing new players. What you saw yesterday is a coaching staff that had an offense that didn't look like an offense that just got thrown together. That didn't look like a group of kids that just got thrown together this season. That didn't look like a coaching staff that was put together this season. They look like they've been doing this for a couple of years. They look like, okay, what you saw yesterday, in my opinion, is what you see from a team that was being built 2 years prior, and they're finally at a point to where we're going to see what the fruits of their labor has been. No, they did it immediately. They look like a legit football team out there, a legit college football team that can make some noise. What they had going, they didn't get their first penalty until it was like 2 minutes or 3 minutes left, or maybe it was even I can't remember what it was, but they didn't get their first penalty. CU didn't until it was like 2 minutes left in the second quarter, almost to halftime. That's unheard of with brand new teams, with brand new coaching staffs. It's incredibly difficult to get those many people on the same page and run like that. The way they were running that offense, I don't know if it had a lot to do with Shadur. I'm sure it did, but the former Kent State head coach had that offense humming. Dion Sanders was making decisions out there. He wasn't just letting guys go and do. He was delegating, but at the same time, he was making decisions on what to do. They went for it on fourth down twice and were successful. They scored a touchdown on one, and they got they were the way that they were doing it. You don't see that in first year head coaching staffs, first year players, or first year team being together. You don't see that very often. So that's why, to me, it was so impressive on what they're doing. And if the Broncos want to go up there and take that, they got a lot to show. And I know it's professional sports and college athletics. In my opinion, it's difficult to do that with college athletics than it is with professional sport. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and you might not agree with mixing these college and professional teams, but we're talking all Colorado sports. Maybe we should include all front range sports, but we're just going to keep it kind of in the, I guess, the metro area. And yeah, I'm gonna I get it. And even Joel Klatt said this on the broadcast, because Gus Johnson was like, how you feeling, Joel? You're a CU grad, you went to CU. I even saw a lot of backlash of fans not even happy that Joel's going to be on the call because he went to CU. Right. And there was a couple of times where, a couple questionable calls that went CU's favor. He goes, "Oh yeah, that's a completed catch." And then if TCU was kind of on the bubble on a call, he goes, "No, that's not going to be a catch." I'm just using those as an example. But there was a little slight bias for Joel when it came to certain calls. But overall, he's a great color guy for the game of college football. And next week, he's going to be right here in Boulder again.
If I'm like, he's a professional. The biggest thing I saw yesterday is the professionalism from that dude. And I can't imagine how tough it was for him to like curtail his enthusiasm or to not get super excited. But next week, I'm not going to say this is going to happen. And I don't even know who's the second guy that they can put with Gus Johnson, but it's going to be tough. It would be incredibly tough because the hatred that CU has for the Cornhuskers, like I don't know. It's going to be tough next week for Joel Klatt, but he's professional, man. That's one of the best to ever do it. He's one of the best to come from local radio here. One of the best to do it here, in my opinion. He was on one of my favorite all-time local radio shows here. And the professionalism he showed to do that, but it's going to be incredibly tough for him next week.
The Rockies too, so
right. He did stuff for the Rockies too, so yeah. I mean, it's going to be incredibly tough for him next week. I don't want to be in his shoes,
Yeah, and I'm sure he had to, mind the pun, but I'm sure he had to curb some of his enthusiasm when it came to some of the plays that happened yesterday. But I did see a lot of backlash that he was going to be on the call, obviously, especially from TCU people, because obviously Joel, I'm sure at this point everyone knows his background, that he went to CU. He's from Colorado, so
he played in the Big 12 championship game. He played in the against Texas. I want to say that was against Texas when he played. He's played some serious football here for the University of Colorado. So for all those people that were saying that he was biased this way, they both like just went over that missed holding call that was responsible for the first TCU touchdown. That was a hold on the outside on that left tackle. So they kind of went over that one. They didn't really talk about that much. So I mean, I would give him that. He was professional, for the most part.
So yeah, so we'll see what happens next week. I'm sure Nebraska fans will do the same thing that TCU fans did and try. I think there was a petition, honestly, going around to not have him do this game. But when you're the number one broadcast team for Fox College Football, right, you don't really get a choice if you're a fan to watch it. But yeah, next week's going to be crazy, especially when it's here. Joel's back home, and so I'm sure it'll be fun for him to come back and go through that experience. But overall, I'm going to put CU number 3, Matt, because again, it's only one game. And Joel even quoted this during the broadcast. He said, "You know what? I've watched 2 decades of bad football. I'm all right," is what he said. So,
Right.
yeah. So, yeah, good. I'm sure it was hard for Joel again to hide his excitement. Although on some of those big plays, Matt, it did come out a little bit. So,
Yeah.
you got to try to keep it neutral for the most part. So, we'll see what Joel says next week as Nebraska's in town. Hated rival. I'm sure he loved playing Nebraska as a player as well. So, and I'll ask this too. Like, a lot of these players, again, bad for almost 2 decades, like Joel said. I mean, do these current players on this team even know the history, even know the rivalry that is Nebraska? Do they care? I mean, this is a whole new regime, whole new anything. I know they're going to be reminded about it, but even Nebraska hasn't really been all that great the last couple of years either. I mean, and I correlate this to the Broncos and Raiders. Neither team has been good. So the rivalry has kind of died down. You're still going to hate the Raiders if you're a Broncos fan. You're still going to hate the Broncos if you're a Raiders fan. Pick any rivalry that's kind of dissipated over the last few years. Look at the Avalanche and Red Wings. That is not even a rivalry anymore because they moved Detroit to the Eastern Conference.
Right.
And so you don't even see that. I mean, for years, go watch, by the way, if you want to relive that, go watch that documentary about the Avs and Red Wings rivalry. Great documentary.
That's one of my favorite too.
Yeah, so go watch that if you forgot what that
I watched it last week. I was sick, so I watched that.
If you were born in the aughts and you don't understand the Red Wings rivalry, go watch it. But anyway, I mean, do this current crop of kids at CU? I know they're going to be reminded of it by either alumni or fans or whatever. But do they care about it? Do they know about it? Are they going to play like that's in their minds?
I think they are. They are because I don't know if you heard this, Mike, but there's a zero red policy in CU. You cannot wear red, and that was enforced last week or maybe even a couple of weeks before that. Dion put a non-red. It's there's no red allowed in the CU locker room or around CU football. So they do know. They are known. It's put in their head. Yeah, that's one thing that I love about this is that Dion did bring that with him. He brought that aspect. He brought that mindset of, hey, we're going to go out there. These games are circled on our radar. And it's something that I wanted last year, the Hackett and the Broncos to do when he was asked about the KC rivalry, asked about the Raider rivalry. Like I wanted what Colorado and what Dion's doing is he's bringing back that passion. He's bringing back that emotion to care about certain games, to care about the teams, to care about the games. Nobody cares about the Raiders Broncos next week. It's week 1 of the NFL football season. Nobody cares about it. Nobody's going to care about it as much as they're going to care about the game on Saturday, with it being Buffaloes and the Corn. So I do think these kids, they may not like have the history, because I don't know how many Colorado native kids are on that football team. I don't know how many former Colorado football player kids are on that team, but there's enough people in that building, in that locker room, that are going to remind them, like you said, that are going to remind them. And with Dion instituting the no red policy, that right there is telling them, hey, this means something. This game means something. I mean, I carry that no red policy till in certain situations with my local, with the team that I'm coaching now. In certain cases, there's schools that I can't stand that wore red. And it was one of those situations where I think that's really, really one of the reasons why I put CU in that number 2 category above the Avs, and I got the Broncos at 4 because of that, because of what they're bringing back. They're bringing back the emotion. They're bringing back the we care about this game. We care about this week. So I do think these kids, maybe they might not have lived it as kids, because I remember, Mike, growing up. And I've already said this too a couple times. The day after Thanksgiving was Black Friday, but it was also Bug Eater Friday. It was also Corn Friday. That's the day we played the Corn Huskers. I didn't care where CU was ranked. They were always in the middle or whatever, but that was the day that we get up and we eat Thanksgiving or leftovers and we watch Nebraska CU. So I think it's coming back. I think he's bringing that back. These kids are going to know, they're going to care, and I can't wait for it. I can't wait.
All right. So moving down our list, we kind of differed on our number two. I had the Nuggets Avalanche Buffs. You have the Nuggets Buffs Avalanche. Who falls at number four? I mean, this. I mean, you could honestly put a lot of teams above the Rockies, and there's not very many teams left to choose from. You know, as we kind of drift towards the end of mercifully baseball season, and I mean, where do you go at number four, man? Well, who's your number four?
I got my number four. I mean, and you could go because I don't know if you've heard this conversation, Mike, but there's actually numbers and there's actually like looked at that the Rockies and the Broncos in the past since they won the Super Bowl in the 2015 are kind of like neck and neck when it comes to being crappy franchises, when it comes to being crappy on the field and what they're doing off the field. So you can go, I'm not going to put the Rockies above the Broncos, but you can go neck and neck. Now, if you look at what other franchises we got that have been good, that are good, we look at the Rapids. The Rapids and the Rockies are going to kind of like, sit there and go up above. And you look at CSU. Jay Norville is there, but it's like almost like the same old yesterday. I don't know if you watched that game or you followed any of that game, but it's almost like the same old. So it's tough to look at CSU. And then if you look at Air Force, I'm not going to put Air Force above the Broncos because that's I still think the Broncos are at that number 4. I'm going to put Broncos at number 4, but you can make a case to put Air Force there. Hell, before Prime got here, you can make a case to put Air Force as the best college football team in the state. Hell, you can even look at the Colorado Mines football the past couple seasons. What they're doing in the RMAC, how they're playing with that new coach there, what they were doing last year and then even into this season. So there's a lot of places, there's other teams that you can put at that number 4, but I'm going to go with the Broncos at number 4.
Yeah, that's where I have them too. Throughout all of the Avalanche championships and the Nuggets recent championship, I mean, at the heart of it, Matt, Denver's still a football team, and that's why the Buffs and the Broncos are so important. Rams get a little bit of love, but like you said, it's kind of the same old, same old. Maybe the start of college football season would boost the Rams above a couple of these teams. But like you said, it's just kind of the same as we saw yesterday, almost got doubled up on the scoreboard. So it's kind of tough to put them near at least cracking the top 5. But I don't know. I mean, the Falcons, I think, are still above the Rams when it comes to at least front range football.
Me too.
So you kind of have that going for college football. So, I don't know. I don't know if you even want to include the UNC Bears. They've kind of been in turmoil since the whole McCaffrey thing happened. So you kind of look at that. I don't know if you want to go even include them in this list, but they are a college football team. They have produced at least one notable guy who made it to the NFL who has recently passed away in the last couple of years, and that was Vincent Jackson, the wide receiver. So,
right.
I mean, do you want to include the Bears on? I mean, well, first of all, who do you have at number 5?
At number 5, I got the Falcons.
Okay.
I got the Air Force Falcons at number 5. Just what they're consistent. That what they do each and every year. They've beat. Did they? Oh man, I feel like I'm going to screw up. I feel like they've beat CSU and CU in the past couple seasons. In the past, at least they've gotten wins over. They've been better than them. So you could put that. You could look at that. But yeah, I got the Falcons there. And yeah, UNC, what they're. I don't know however you want to put it, but McCaffrey just like you said, destroyed that program in a sense, with trying to do what Dion is doing now in CU. And I would love to put UNC there because there's that they're in that Big Sky Conference. I love Big Sky Conference football. But I think they're on the uptick. They are definitely on the uptick. And however they look this year, how the season comes together this year, we'll definitely look at next year. I'd love to do this next year or next season or at the end of this football season anyway, to do this again to see if they moved up. But yeah, I would have the Air Force Falcons there for sure. And then, but you can look at UNC, Northern Colorado, as they're on the way up after what, the disaster of Hurricane McCaffrey did over there with that school, trying to do what Dion's doing now, but he couldn't do it because he didn't have the right. I just don't think Eddie Mack, God bless his heart, I'm sure he's a great dude, but I've had a couple instances with him coaching wise, and from my opinion, he didn't have his stuff together. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, so I also have the Falcons at number 5. I do have the Rams at number 6, Matt, just because the start of the kickoff to college football is so big for certain schools, certain programs, and stuff like that. So maybe that jump started them over a couple teams just because it is the beginning, and you drop to a Washington State team that's maybe you should have won. Maybe it was a coin flip game. I don't know. I don't know where Washington has come from in the past. Again, all research or zero research, no all reaction. So I do have the Rams at number 6, just because it is maybe the start of college football season, launch them into that spot. Really quickly here,
I'd go there too.
Yeah, I'll even put the Rapids, the Colorado Eagles up in Loveland,
yep.
the future WNBA team, and the Valor Christian team over the Rockies. How about that?
At Cherry Creek, Creek football.
Cherry Creek, Mullen, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I would go. Yeah, I would go Cherry Creek football after CSU. Yeah, I would go Cherry Creek football after CSU.
And this is only going to be pro in college, but
right. Well, yeah. I know what you mean.
I know. I would dare to put at least 3 Colorado high school teams
at least
3, and the non-existent future WNBA team above.
Right. I agree 100%. Like
I'll even put Coors Field as an entity over the Rockies.
I agree 100% with that. It's just like the Rockies are just a dog butt franchise right now. They're just at the end of the line. They're just and I even heard some stuff over this past week that kind of just popped up where it's like Monfort is actually involved in the players. He's kind of like a Jerry Jones. So that's terrifying, Mike. That is, I didn't know if that was like common knowledge before, but I didn't know that. I thought he was just comes in and says things here and there, but he's actually involved in it, I guess, from what I read and what I heard. So I don't know if you knew that or whatever, but that's terrifying.
Yeah, I don't understand why he's still around, and I don't
get it.
Yeah. Do we dare even look at, I know the Rockies beat the Blue Jays yesterday, but do we even dare look at what the stand, by the way, if you're the Colorado Angels of Anaheim, People's Republic of California, did you see that? They made all these trades. They got Randall Grichuk, CJ Cron from the Rockies. They get the White Sox ace, Lucas Giolito. And then a couple days ago, Matt, they waived all of them because Shohei, Ohtani got hurt, so he's not going to pitch. He'll still play DH bat, but he's not going to pitch anymore. So the Angels are just like, screw it, I guess, because now we're not going to get anything. But the Angels, I mean, they're such in a tough division now with the rise of Seattle, and then Houston and Texas are just crushing it as well. I mean, the Angels have fallen all the way down to 64 and 72, so they're not even going to sniff a wild card position now. Seattle, Matt, 77 and 58, Houston 77 and 60, Texas 75 and 60. So there was no room for the Angels to begin with in that division. Not only that, the wild card. So they were just like, and all 3 of those pitchers that they released, Matt, that they waived, all 3 of them, at least they're all sticking together. They all got picked up by the Guardians yesterday. So not the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Cleveland Guardians.
Oh,
so yeah, they would have to redo the ending of Guardian Volume 3 to
be a little
do that. But they all got picked up by Cleveland, who is, I guess, still trying to fight for that division. They're only 5 games out of the AL Central, Matt, and they have a losing record.
That's crazy.
So I don't know. Maybe they'll try to make a run at it, or they just signed Lucas Giolito to rub it in the White Sox face. I don't know. By the way, did you hear the rumblings that, because the White Sox, they're in turmoil too. They just fired the president. They just fired Ken Williams, who's been with the team forever, for 20 plus years. They're thinking about moving that franchise out of Chicago. And I don't know if this is where there's smoke, there's fire type of news, but Nashville has become a landing spot for them in the news. Again, this just might be hearsay, but
I mean,
Wow.
the Cubs and the White Sox have been in Chicago since the 1890s. So I don't know where you go. I don't know if they'll add another one. If you're, this is kind of like the
Wow.
Raiders
That's
moving to
crazy.
Vegas. This is like the. Do you still be? Are you still a Raiders fan even though you live in Oakland and now they're in LA? Or do you still become a white? I don't know the mileage between Chicago and Nashville. You know, it's still Central Time, so I guess it's
Right.
close. But I mean, do I become a Nashville? Do they keep the same name? Do I become a Nashville White Sox fan?
That's crazy because yeah, because that's a historic, like you said, they've been around for a long time. The White Sox have been around for it's that's a historical deal. So just to change up and go to Nashville, that would be crazy. I mean, and why can't this stuff happen to the Rockies? Like, why can't they just fire everybody? And I don't. Is there who's above
Can we move
Monfort?
the Rockies to Nashville and then just start a
Move
brand
the
new
Rockies to
franchise?
Nashville,
Yeah.
yeah, and then just have like instead
And then
of have a baseball team here because I don't know if there's anybody that can run
well,
a
someone
baseball
has to
team.
yeah, someone has to fill Coors Field.
So
Have the Waltons, who just bought the Broncos. Have them start a brand new baseball team. Just
or
pay,
just
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 pay the Monforts to leave. Can we do that?
just yeah, can we you paid, I mean, I don't know what you do, but every time you hear about that or you hear about teams cleaning house and doing this and that, and then you look at the team here and like, why can't you do that?
Right.
It's like, it's like, why can't you do that for us?
By the way, speaking of owning franchises and stuff, who made that rule where you can only own like 2 professional teams in one city? Who made that? Or what
Is
is
that
it?
a rule?
Yeah, because that's why Stan Kroenke relinquished
Ah, okay.
control of the Avalanche to Nuggets to Josh Kroenke so that he can go and buy the LA Rams and run Arsenal or whatever.
Right.
That's because you cannot own more than 2. I don't know if it's in the same city or just 2 period, but that's why he relinquished control of the Avs and Nuggets to Josh. You know, really, I use relinquish
Well,
loosely. I put it in air quotes because he still is the majority
right.
owner, but it's in the family name. But his name is not tied literally to owning them, so he could go and run the Rams.
Well, let's go, Walter Penner. Let's start talking to
That's what I mean.
Montfort. Hey,
Let's
let's
get this
start talking
Walmart
to him.
group together and just they would be able to own a baseball team
Why don't you do something while you're doing nothing? Let's get involved and get
because
the Rockies. Let's do something.
despite the whole altitude TV thing, the Cronkies know how to run teams. Let's just
Yes,
take it.
they do.
They may not know how to run TV stations, but they know how to run franchises.
Yeah.
And they've had 5 championships in the last 5 years, dating back to the Rams, the Avs, the Nuggets, and there was who was the Mammoth, if you want to
The
include
Mammoth, right? They got the
we got to
Mammoth.
put them on our list. They're above the Rockies.
They're above the Rockies, 100%.
That's what
Yeah,
I mean. Coors Field itself as an entity is above the Rockies.
Well, yeah, I think what they should do is instead of just teasing us with the baseball team, just get rid of the baseball team, open up Coors Field, and have games and have like big time games here where they can come and like this is the place they do the All-Star game, or this is the place that they do different teams and have because nobody comes here to watch the Rockies hardly anymore anyway. They come here to watch other teams.
How about this? How about the Waltons start a American League team, build almost Coors Field's twin, and see who wins more and who goes to more games.
There you go. I like that.
Build
a
competing team, and then whoever loses, and then at the end of the season, have like a Rocky Mountain Showdown for baseball, and whoever loses has to leave town, and then I don't know what you do with with both stadiums. Maybe you don't build a new stadium yet for the American League team. Maybe you play
for the rights to Coors Field.
Yeah, you play for the right, and then the losing team has to go.
Yeah, we'll get this American League team over, and we're going to practice over here at this high school facility or whatever, because there's some pretty damn good high school facilities out there.
I'm trying to think of.
Let's go to Valor's Field or
yeah,
something. Let's go to Mullins. Let's go to these. Let's go to Regis' Field.
if you want to be downtown, just use Metro's field. It's pretty nice too.
Metro has a nice, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. You might have to deepen the outfield and stuff like that, but
Yeah, it's
hey,
you can move
and
fences,
it's like old school. It's old school. We'll play for the stadium. We'll
play for the rights of Colorado baseball.
of Colorado baseball. We'll play for the rights. I guarantee you they're going to win because Mofford would be like, "Oh, well, that sounds pretty cool, man. Well, but we'll pack the house. But you guys, it'll that's a great idea. That would bring baseball back to Colorado. Excitement about baseball.
If you're starting a new team, what do you name the new baseball team?
Oh, the Colorado Sunshines. No, the Colorado.
You can use Denver. You can use Denver. It doesn't have to be Colorado.
You could use Denver. The Denver 420s, maybe. I don't know.
Isn't that what the minor league team is called?
What is the?
They are named after
a dispensary. Yeah. There's two there's two minor league there's teams that I'm thinking about on top of my head. But anyway, I like that idea. I think that would be exciting.
They're the Rocky Mountain Vibes, by the way.
The vibes. I like them. I like that. I want to get one of those hats. I almost ordered one of those hats. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, and then you know how you play interleague throughout the season. Maybe who has the best, head-to-head record against each other. Something you got to do something because this is just getting old. And again, hopefully the Cronkies are able to fix their TV, whatever they're doing with TV. I liked your idea of an app, Matt. Just have an app. It would be so much easier just to have an app. You can watch it on your phone, and then you can cast it to your TV. There's so many ways around it. And people are going to subscribe to the app. You're going to get your money.
I would pay $15
You can watch the Avs, you can watch the Nuggets, you can watch the Rapids, you can watch the Mammoth, you can watch whatever Altitude owns. You can watch people ride Twister 2 and almost fall to their death at Elitch's. They own Elitch's, so
you can watch fishing. They could put fishing shows. You could put golf shows. There's so many things that they can have. Yeah, they have them all. You can put them all on the app on demand. I would pay.
Yeah,
I would drop Sling right now in a heartbeat and pay for that app. I would. I would pay $15. I would pay $20. Whatever it was. Like there's probably a limit of what I would pay, but still, I would pay for that app 100%. You would make money, your money back. Blah blah blah. I don't understand. I guess I'm too dumb to understand, or I'm not educated to understand what the hell's going on with all that. Why there isn't an app yet?
Yeah. So there's just so many ways around it that you can do, and I just don't know why they haven't gone that far yet. And like you said, there's so many ways you can do it. People will subscribe to it. People will pay money for it. So really quickly before we get out of here, Matt, I want to get your reaction to this. I don't know if you saw this, but Noah Lyles, the USA track guy, kind of dogging the NBA, saying, why do they call it a world championship? And he said, world championship of what? The United States? And I'm paraphrasing. I don't have all reaction, zero research. Where do you land on this spectrum? Because I was watching Stephen A. Smith saying you could argue that the NBA plays more worldwide guys than he does. Because he said there's over 400 NBA players. A third of that are people from other countries. I think he said there's 55 countries and 6 continents represented in the NBA.
Yeah. I thought that he was reaching on trying to go viral. He did go viral, but I think he was reaching on trying to make a statement. Because I even saw something. There's never been world champions. It's been NBA champion or NBA, because like they went through a thing like saying that they even talked about this year. They didn't say the Nuggets are world champions. They said the Nuggets are NBA champions. Last season, the Golden State Warriors are once again NBA champions. And then before that, the Milwaukee Bucks are now NBA champions. So from that perspective, he's wrong. They're not world champions. But from Stephen A's perspective, and I agree with that, like what you just said, and we've even talked about this on the show. Are the world better than the NBA, than the American players right now? And yes, I believe they are. Nikola Jokic is the number 1 player in the world. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the number 2 player in the world. The guy from Dallas Mavericks,
Luka.
Number 3, you can put him number 3. Joel Embiid, he's not from America. So
Was he Cambodia? I want Cam. Is it Cam or
Wembanyama?
Cameroon is
he's from Cameroon. Yeah, right. There's Victor Wembanyama. There's Rudy Gobert. I'm not saying he's one of the best players in the world, but there's just so many examples of the world. The best players in the world are in the NBA. So yes, you are playing the best players in the world. There's not the best players in the world aren't staying where they are from. They are staying where they're from to get themselves in a position like Victor Wembanyama did to come to the NBA. So I think it was a failed attempt at trying to be controversial, which he did, but it was a failed attempt to be right. And he just looks, in my opinion, he looks stupid right now because it doesn't hold water when, like Stephen A. Smith said, the majority of the best players in the NBA are from around the world and not just America. So that it doesn't hold water for me.
I mean, I see both sides of it, to be honest with you. Even as a kid watching sports, man, I always was confused, honestly, by world champions because I thought as a kid, not recognizing or not learning yet, like the whole structure of the championship, I guess what it is now, the championship brackets, whatever you want to call it. I thought maybe the winner of the NBA played, another country or something. I was confused. Like, why are they calling themselves the championships or world champions when they haven't played the world, I guess. And this was a long time ago, or maybe there wasn't as much, European and stuff like that guys coming over. But I'll admit I was confused as a kid why every sport, like, remember when the Broncos won their first 2 championships,
the world champions,
world champions. And now for football, they're called Super Bowl champions. They don't even say NFL champ. When hockey, you could even debate our world championships, our world champions, because there's in hockey. I think the USA almost has the least percentage of players in the, everyone's Canadian pretty much, or Swedish or Russian,
Finnish, Russian, right?
So, even hockey can debate that they're a world champion, but they call themselves Stanley Cup champions now. I was just going to use that example, the hockey. You nailed it right there. I was just going to say hockey. Hockey's a great example of this working that way, where it actually meaning, because the best players in the world aren't from the United States. And you can look at it too. Like, I think he was trying to go the route of like boxing or fighters, or in that sense, because they're always called world champions of the world, the IWBC world champion, blah blah blah, UFC world champion. In that case, I think you can make like, well, you're not fighting the best fighters in the world because you're just saying you're a champion of the people you fought. You haven't fought the best in the world. So from that aspect, you could have a point, but hockey is the best example that you just made. I'm glad you made that example of world champion. You can say world champion because they're the best players in the world aren't from the United States. So yeah, that's the best example right there. You nailed it. Yeah. And the NBA is catching up very quickly to the NHL
for sure.
And the NBA is a global game. Look at what Jordan did for basketball's brand when the Bulls went to France and Greece and stuff like that when they played those preseason games. So I get it, but if you look at the Nuggets championship hat, it says NBA. They used to say world champions on the championship hats, Matt, long time ago, right? But now they say, like you said, NBA champions. So, when baseball could argue that there is a ton. Everyone's from kind of the Latin community, the Latin country,
the Latin Asia. There's a lot of Asians,
a lot of people coming from China, Korea, stuff like that.
Japan, yeah. Best player in baseball is from Japan.
Yeah. There's so much you can look at when it comes to all these sports now. And, look at the World Baseball Classic. A lot of the guys, same as the Olympics, same as all of these different kind of tournaments that you play for your country. I know these guys go back to their countries, but they, like you said, they play in their countries until they get a shot to come over to play in all of these leagues that are here.
And golf too is another one you can throw in where the best players in the world aren't necessarily American. We got the Ryder Cup coming up here pretty soon. It's in Rome, and that's when it's the Americans versus Europeans, or the America versus the world in a sense. So we got that coming up. So there's a lot of examples of where what he was saying could be right, but I don't know if NBA was necessarily the right one.
Right. So, got a text here from the 970 Met. It says, guys, do you see any opportunity or any chance that the NBA, the MLB, and or you might have forgot one, or the NFL will be like the NHL and have other countries in their leagues? And I'm assuming the NHL because there are a few Canadian teams that play.
Right. The NHL, and I've heard that the NFL's talking about it. The NFL's talking about having a team in the UK, and then maybe even Canada. I don't know if Canada. I've heard the NFL talking about it. The NBA has messed with it or talked about it as well. But do you remember NFL Europe?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that at all?
I don't remember it, honestly. I remember it, but I don't remember watching it.
I've watched a couple. I mean, we got some coaches that came from there and stuff like that.
Well, did he play for NFL Europe or somebody pretty popular played for NFL Europe?
I can't remember who it was, but yeah, there was people coming from there. Germany. There was the Frankfurt. I can't remember what team they were, but yeah, there was. But another thing too is if you're talking about going global with these leagues is it's gonna make the season longer. It's gonna make the season more difficult. You're gonna have to rearrange some things because flying from place to place is not no easy thing to do.
Well, isn't that why they did NFL Europe? Because
the
logistics and flying over. That's why they had to make an NFL Europe, so you're not flying over there every week.
Exactly, and that's why they did that. So that's what's tough about it is the logistics of it. But I've heard them talk about it. I've heard them really wanting to do it, wanting to have a team, and Jacksonville was talked about as one moving, getting moved. Until good riddance, peace out, Jacksonville.
Until they got that new owner and was like, we're going to get better.
Yeah. Shad Khan and Tony Khan, his son, who's in some issues with wrestling, but that's a different podcast. But it's really intriguing. It's really intriguing, and then it also gets into another issue where. Are you going to bring back spring football? Does spring football work? You got the USFL, XFL, all that stuff. So yeah, with football in general, but I would love to see some kind of a world league brought up but it'd have to be logistics. You'd have to look at that. I think if you did a world league, the season would be a year long, calendar year long, with breaks and tournaments in between. It'd have to be that.
Yeah. And maybe, yeah, I mean, when you sit there and think about it, you kind of almost take for granted or don't even think about, oh, yeah, that's right. There is like 5 Canadian teams that are in the NHL. Why is there other leagues like that? And I don't know. I couldn't tell you, like, at least baseball. I was going to say baseball could at least include some a team or 3 or 4 from Mexico. I mean, they're right below us.
Right.
And a lot of guys come from Mexico playing baseball. So you could do that for baseball at least. I don't know how many Canadian kids are playing baseball over hockey, but I mean, you have the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean,
you had the Montreal Expos.
You had the Montreal Expos. You had the Vancouver Grizzlies.
The Vancouver, right?
They were
right.
The
Canucks. Remember the Vancouver Canucks? Do you still have the Vancouver Canucks?
They're still around. I mean, I guess that's true. You have the Toronto Raptors, so maybe you're still.
You do have the Raptors, yeah. You do have the Raptors, yeah.
Maybe it's more for football, I guess. Then is
and the reason why it's tough for football is because you play one game a week.
Yeah,
and it's so taxing, and that game is so much out of it. It's just the logistics of it is trying to get that one game in. You're almost essentially like down 2 weeks if you go play a game overseas. You're almost down because the jet lag, and then everybody complains about, and then they're probably schedule them on a game on Thursday. They have a game in England on Sunday, and then they have a game here on Thursday. They'll probably do that to them because that's what NFL likes to do.
Yeah. So maybe you add more. I don't know.
Get rid of Thursday night football. How about that?
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I said it.
They're going to add a game every single day before they get rid of
exactly.
Get rid of something.
You hit it right on the head. We'll have games on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Wednesday. We'll have a special Wednesday game too.
I mean, personally, I think they should move all the Sunday games to Saturday because I like Saturday night games.
I love Saturday nights. I love Saturday football. Yeah.
I mean, but you don't want to compete with college. I get it, but still,
right. But they still do. They still do. I mean, and you're also talking. They were also talking about getting rid of college games on Friday nights or Thursday nights because there's high school footballs on Thursday nights. The only reason why we play high school football on Thursdays is because we don't have enough freaking officials. So they got to add games to certain nights to get games in because officials are available instead of going all on Friday nights. So on Saturday, same thing. So there's different reasons why some things get made, but yeah, logistically it'd be tough to have a bunch of football games.
Yeah, let's just. How about we add another Canadian team? The Rockies move to Montreal,
wherever they want to move them. I don't care.
Winnipeg. Yeah, I mean Winnipeg's kind of in the same time zone, so you just move them to Winnipeg.
Move them to Labrador. Take Modfords and move them to Labrador.
How about the Montforts become the first professional team in Alaska, and
there you go.
Just be the Juno jokes or something like that, and just never come.
Juno jesters.
Yeah. The Juno clowns, and that'll be fine.
Hey, there's meat. There's good meat up there in Alaska. He can still have his meat.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Mark Schlereth can show him around.
Yeah, he can show him how the stinking show him Alaska. God, the Modfords the Rockies. They suck, man.
Speaking of Canadian teams, they did beat Toronto last night. I don't know if that's.
But didn't they get smashed by them like a couple days before that?
Yes.
And they just came off getting their asses kicked by the Braves. Their freaking security guards, Mike, can't even get the guy off of our freaking MVP, Acuna Jr. And they did you see that debacle? Did you see that debacle?
That's one way to be banned for life from going to games. By the way, I had a question about that. If you know how you run out in the field, they say you're banned for life. You go to a little baseball jail. They do have like 2 cells, by the way, underneath for baseball jail. But then you're banned for life. I was thinking about that. Like, what if you don't buy the tickets? What if you go with a friend? How are they going to tell that it's you? Is there like face recognition? Like, is there?
I'm sure they get your information and stuff when they put you in baseball jail.
But I'm saying, like, if you go with a friend, and you don't buy the tickets, like, how do they know that you're even there without like some kind of face recognition?
Oh, I got you. Yeah, maybe there is face recognition.
Like,
maybe there is. Maybe like I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe we should try to get those dummies on and see if what happens. But did you see how they were trying to get the guy off of him? So the guy, you haven't watched it. Go watch it when you get a chance. The guy comes in.
That's why I asked the question. Like, how do they tell if people are?
Oh, it's so. Yeah, the guy jumps in. He just wanted a picture or something like that. But he goes to hug him, right? And then the security guard that goes to get him off of him, he hugs him too. It's like Acuna's got 2 hugs. One guy that doesn't want to be hugged, and the other guy's trying to get hugs. Another guy comes, and then they dump the MVP, falls down. They make the MVP fall down, Mike, trying to save him. They make him fall down. I don't think he got hurt or whatever, but it was just a debacle. The Rockies are a debacle.
Laughing? Was he?
He looked like he was cracking up. I don't know if he was scared or whatever, because I mean, it's like you don't know what those guys are going to do. Monica Seles got stabbed, for Pete's sakes. I know that was a long time ago, and there was more issues surrounding that, but still, you don't know what these guys are going to do.
Yeah, I was wondering what Acuna would have done. Wasn't there 2 guys?
There's 2 of them. 2 of them that came after him, and then both, like, and I don't know if the security people there with the Rockies or were actual security people, because most of the time those people that have those jobs, they're not in the best of shape. They're not in the best of abilities.
Let's face it, they're all Paul Blarts.
They're all Paul Blarts, 100%. So you're not starting out in a good position already, but my goodness, that's the MVP, and they didn't handle that situation very well. They handled it like the Rockies, like the only way the Rockies can handle it,
which is
embarrassingly just awful.
Yes. So let's move the Rockies to Winnipeg or Alaska or
Antarctica. Antarctica's looking for a team.
Yeah, somewhere. I mean, hey, if they build another Coors Field in Antarctica, people will go, right?
They'll go. People will come.
If you build it, they will come. That's the universal term in baseball. When you want to start a team, move a team, just expand anywhere you want to. Build it, people will come. I don't know if it's going to be actual people or polar bears or what have you, but someone will show up to it if there's people around, right?
Oh yeah, they'll show up there. You know, the Inuits that are out there, they'll show up. It's you'll have seals. Maybe the whales will be doing their migration. They can show up.
If you sell Coca-Cola, the polar bears will definitely show up.
Definitely, they'll definitely be there.
So that you got that going for you. At least you have Coke sales and not the bad Coke, but the drink Coke, right?
The drink, the refreshing drink. Yes.
So
and hey, Mike, I don't know if you know this, but we were just talking about the world stuff. Lithuania just beat the United States in the FIBA World Cup. So there's that.
Well, Latvia just beat. Who did they just beat? Latvia just beat somebody yesterday too, because I saw.
Yeah. So.
By the way, France, if you want to win, get rid of Rudy Gobert. By the way.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to be in Minnesota very long.
Isn't the big purr? Doesn't he play for a Dominican Republic? By the way.
Does he?
I think he was trying to, or wanted to, or did.
Wow.
But yeah, man, the big person didn't want to play for the U.S.
We just the United States just played like crap, like total crap here. I'm looking at the box score here real quick. 6-point loss. Anthony Edwards, who's a freaking monster, had 35 points. Austin Reeves, I don't know if he got hurt or something, 7 points. Brandon Ingram, 10 points. Bobby, this is why you can't. This is why it's like the world, the best players in the world. This is a bad showing for U.S. right now. This is a bad showing for the U.S. But we'll get into that tomorrow. I'll get into that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm trying to find who Latvia just beat, but it was an upset. I'm trying to. Oh, here we go. By the way, were you okay with Jamal Murray not playing in this?
As a Nuggets fan, yes.
Yeah.
As a Nuggets fan, yes. If I was Canadian and a Canadian team fan, I might have an issue with it. But as a Nuggets fan, I'm fine. Hey, go get rest, bud. You just played go get rest. Him and Nikola. And Aaron Gordon and Nikola are still probably partying and drinking and dancing right now. So go hang out with them. Jamal's
already back at Ball Arena practicing with the Nuggets, by the way. Latvia beat Spain. That's
Spain. That's huge.
That's a big upset.
Yeah.
And I couldn't name you one person on Latvia. I think I saw Brock Purtle or I forgot whose face they put for the face of Latvia. But Spain isn't really what it used to be either. Remember, they had the Gasol brothers.
They got the Gasols. They had Manu. Wasn't Manu on that team, or did he play for a different team?
They have the Hernan Gomez brothers though.
Yes.
They have Bo Cruz and the other guy.
And they got what's the kid that played oh gosh, really good ball handler. I think he's on that team too.
Well, they have Rudy Fernandez.
I
don't know if that's who you're talking about.
I think that's who I'm talking. Am I talking about Rudy Fernandez?
By the way, I was thinking of the dude who used to play for the Spurs, Bertrand. They showed his face for Latvia. Otherwise, these dudes, I don't even know who they are, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce their names. But they have R. Smits. Is that any relation to Rick Smits?
I don't know. I wonder.
I don't even know if Rick Smits was from Latvia, but it could.
Hey, real quick, Austin Reeves, a guy who I'm extremely high on. This was his line today in the loss: 7 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 1 for 4 field goals, 5 personal fouls. Austin Reeves, he must have had a good time over there to last night or this morning. I don't know how you ever look at it. Horrible showing for Team USA today.
By the way, did you see Brandon Ingram, the forward for the Pelicans, has getting slammed because I think he's only averaging 6 points in the entire tournament.
He was mad because he got benched. Right. He only scored 10 points today.
Yeah, when you're only averaging 6 points in 10 games, you're not going to play.
Right.
Because supposedly this isn't the world champions, but you can't.
And again, this goes to Steve Kerr's the coach there, and this goes to Americans. Like the world game catching up to the American game is the world game's a more team game. These Yanks over here, all they want to do is play me ball, and me ball doesn't work in FIBA. I guess.
No, they don't. But don't even dare call yourself world champion though if you win.
Don't do it because you can't beat the world.
So if the USA wins this tournament, I don't know where they land after losing today. But say if they won, do they call themselves? What is this? Do they call themselves world champions, or they call themselves FIBA Cup? What do you call it?
FIBA Cup champions, I believe. FIBA Cup champions.
But they just
And
beat the world.
I don't know if it works. Let's just go back to that real quick. You have the best player in the world on your team that just won the championship in the NBA, talking about Nikola Jokic, and this dum-dum goes and says that they're not the world champions, and you have the best player in the world is on your team, is on the team. He's not American. That was stupid.
But like I said, I see both sides of it.
I do too. I do too. But he should have thought about it a little bit more, and he probably wouldn't have come up with that.
Yeah,
response.
maybe he would have looked arrogant. Is that the right word? Maybe
very, very, yeah.
Ignorant.
Ignorant is a word. Ignorant is a word because
difference
when you don't know what you're talking about, you're usually ignorant.
Sure. And I won't answer that question without a lawyer or a dictionary present.
There you go.
I'll put it that way.
I didn't know there'd be math. Oh wait, that's not math. I didn't know there would be social studies today.
Linguistics. English class. Sure. But that's going to do it for us here on the Wheelhouse on Elevation 5280 Sports and Lifestyle. Don't forget to go to all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Elevation 5280 Radio, on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at 5280 Sports Radio. Follow Matt at Matt Mascarenas1. You can follow me as well at Michael Spillin. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well at 5280 Sports Radio. Don't forget that Kim Becker will be back tomorrow. Well, maybe. We'll see what she does. It is Labor Day, so have a safe and enjoyable Labor Day. We'll see if she might wait till Tuesday to put out her Colorado sports recap over the last week, and a lot to talk about when it comes to CU now. So that'll be in the headline fantasy football, Matt. We're going to delve into that just a little bit here as week one, Matt. Week one of the NFL is next weekend. Are you
next week? I am very excited. I'm a little bit more excited for the college football season. The NFL is number 3 on my list this year of being excited, but it's football. I love football. I'll be excited to watch football on Sundays. Excited to see what the Sean Payton, Russell Wilson situation looks like, and also I'll be excited to see if the Packers give them the love. That's all I want to see. If the Packers get the young one, 3 of 2 or 1 of the 3 youngest teams in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers. I'm so excited. I'm more excited about that team than I am any other team in the NFL. And that does mean the Broncos. Sorry, Bronco country, but I am really excited about that. But other than that, Mike, it's like Nebraska CU next week. That's all that's on my mind.
Yeah, so they'll be back-to-back. When's the last time they had back-to-back nationally televised games, by the way? So that's the prime time.
It's been a while.
That's the prime
and
time.
And also, Mike, I don't know if you watched it or listened to it on the radio, but did you see how many commercials that were Dion Sanders were in?
Oh yeah, watching it. He was on the Aflac Duck commercials. He was on a Popeyes commercial. He was all over the place. I don't know
every commercial.
And again, I don't know if that's just they show that locally, because in Texas it could be a whole different commercials. We don't know. True. So that could have just been local stuff. I don't know. But Aflac and Popeyes are a national brand, so he could have been on their Texas TVs as well.
Could have been, but I'm curious to see.
Maybe it's regional. I don't know how they do it, but
right. But yeah, I'll be revving up for all that. I'll have a show tomorrow. Ball Sports will be back tomorrow, and I got a lot of stuff written down, ready to go.
He's dropping balls.
Big balls tomorrow, baby.
That's what he's doing. So we're gonna get out of here. Once again, thank you for tuning in, listening. However you grab our information, don't forget you could go to e5280sports.com, get all of our articles, blogs, and all of your past podcast video and audio. All of that is up there. And yeah, I mean, just go like everything that we put out there. So we'll have more articles and podcasts this week, so stay tuned for that. We will have a exclusive fantasy football podcast, not us, but Tom will be joining our team as well.
Excited about that.
We will be putting it'll just be audio medium right now for Tom, but it'll be a fantasy football talk with Tom. That'll be on the front page, and then Matt and I on Sundays will get into fantasy football as well. Well, we're going to get out of here. Once again, thanks for everyone for tuning in, commenting, texting, whatever you did to get involved. For Matt Mascarenas, I am Michael Spill. We will see you next week.